RKB Accounting specializes in cross-border taxation. Your one-stop solution for filing taxes in the United States and Canada. RKB handles income tax, sales tax, payroll, and bookkeeping, and also helps in incorporating your business on both sides of the border. Please visit us at rkbaccounting.ca to learn more about our services.
Thank you.
So in the last email, I shared this to 3.1 and 3.2. 3.1 basic information, online passwords are important, banking tab. This is basically for QuickBook Online. And today we are going to work on QuickBook Desktop. Banking tab, bank reconciliation, and these things are important. Chart of account, sales tax, reports, account and settings, import data, import outside data, export data, reconcile, audit log, smart log. Zero online, which we will probably take up in the next class. QuickBook Online and Zero Online. But any which way, do you guys have any question for this? Okay, so let's start with the QuickBook Desktop. So you see 3 tabs here. Create a new company. We will start with creating a new company right from the scratch. The second screen, open or restore an existing company, second tab. What does it mean? That I already have some company you can see on my screen, RKB Accounting, Ischar Group. So if these companies are already created, and I can open this from here. Restore, open or restore an existing company. So open company means you're opening a company which is already saved on your hard disk. And restore company means you are restoring from backup. So when we create a company, we will take a backup and we will learn about how to restore that. Open a sample company. It will open already created a company already created by QuickBooks to show you. So we will start from create a new company. Express start. You can go for advanced setup as well, but I would recommend once you learn the express start, then you can do yourself the advanced setup. Name of the company, RKB Cleaning Company. Industry, let me choose general service based business. Why it is asking for industry setup, nature of industry? Because QuickBook will populate a chart of account automatically related to that. Company type, we can choose sole proprietorship, partnership, corporation, not for profit, charity, other. So I'm choosing here corporation. Business number. We talked about that the individual tax return is filed with the SIN number, but if you are self-employed and if you have GST, HST registration, or you have payroll, then you have to have a business number. If it is a corporation, every corporation is automatically given a business number right from the beginning. And this is the QuickBook is asking for business number for the GST, HST purposes, because when you prepare your invoice, and if you are registered for GST, HST, you have to charge GST, HST on all your taxable services and goods. And this business number with extension RT0001 must appear on your invoice. PST number not applicable in Ontario, because in Ontario GST and PST are combined. Continue. Three 3639. It is asking for a real number. The CRA business number you enter is invalid. Enter your number using the following format. Enter number without space. Check your number with the kana. Okay, so it is asking for a real number. That means QuickBook has the capability to check that if this number really exists or not.
But this is not the mandatory fill, right? So we can ignore that also.
Because when we are preparing, then we will charge GST, HST on our invoice. So we should have this.
Okay.
So I have a company which is kind of not in business. So I will try to put that number. Incorp HST. Okay, so HST return. So 771-762-093. Continue. Address 121 ABC Street, City, Brampton, Province, Ontario, postal code A11, no, A1, A1A1. Canada, phone number 123456789 Email kbaccounting.ca. Website create company. So company is already created and it is already saved on your hard disk. QuickBooks will automatically save the company file in its root directory. And when you are installing your QuickBooks, it will ask you where the program files are to be saved. So you can note down that location where you can open the company, or if you want to create backup, or if you want to save, you can do those things. Here you can add people, add products and services, add bank account. We can do it here, or even we can do later. So for example, right now I'm going to add a bank account. CIBC checking account number 123456789. Opening balance, let's start with $1,001. Start date 1st January 2023. Continue. It is since I added the bank account, it is asking me, do you want to order checks? So QuickBook has some tie-up or with the printing press where they can print check for you, and you can print the check directly from the QuickBooks. So suppose if you are paying an employee or your vendor, which we are going to do that in the QuickBooks Desktop, and when you are preparing a check for your vendor, there is a button there. You can select and print check, and this is the stationery with the bank details, account number, which you can feed into your printer. No thanks. Start working. So here is our company. We have already created a company in the QuickBook Desktop. When you create a company, it will automatically show some feature. You can go one by one, get it. They will show it. Now, there are several functions in this one, but we will only focus on the important functions, and rest of the things I will try to walk you through. Those things which I'm going to focus are items which you used on a daily basis. But there will be certain things, even if you're working in an organization or you're doing bookkeeping for your clients, you might be using once in a month or once in a year. For example, creating an invoice template. So once you created the invoice template, you're good to work with that. You don't need to change the invoice template on a daily basis, monthly basis, unless there is something required. Address has changed or logo has changed, something like that. So we have just created the company, and we want to see that we have created the company properly. So first thing first, we'll go to company and company information. So whatever we enter the information about the company at that time, those informations are here. Company name, company address, phone number, fax number, address, legal name. Sometimes operating name is different and the legal name is different. Business number is already there. If you are registered, if you are doing business in Quebec, the Quebec is only a province in Canada where you have to do an extra registration in Quebec, and they will provide you a QST number. This is important. Reporting information. So you have to select what is the first month of your fiscal year. If you are self-employed, you don't have an option. It is always on calendar year, January to December. But if you have a corporation, you can select any date within the 365 days. So, for example, this one I'm selecting February for fiscal year, and for tax also I'm selecting February. So whenever I run a report, say profit and loss account or balance sheet, there is an option to select. I want to run the profit and loss account for a month, for a fiscal year, for a calendar year, for a quarter. So there, once I select that, give me the report for fiscal year, it will automatically give me from 1st February to 31st January next year. And we can see that here, but there is no information. So right now it is this month to date. Now we can select this fiscal year. So it automatically show me 1st February 2023 to 31st January 2024. Second important thing is, if you have multiple currency, normally people have account in US dollar and Canadian dollar. Those who are doing business in USA, or they are receiving income from USA and they want to keep it in US dollar. So manage currency, learn about multiple currency. No, this is going somewhere, learning. So company. So in that case, another important thing what we can touch upon is preferences. So you go to edit and you set up your preferences here. So accounting, you can set up your preferences, use account number. You can create your general ledger based on the name, definitely, like office expenses, traveling expenses. You can also organize them by a code, numeric or alphanumeric code. In that case, you have to check here. You want to track your expenses or income by class. So, for example, you have 3 salesperson, and they all incur traveling expenses on a daily basis. So you want to track their traveling expenses based on the name of the person. So you can create class name A, B, C, D, and when you are entering the transaction, you know this transaction relates to this class, so you assign that class. And then at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, or at the end of the year, you can see expenses incurred by class. Automatically assign journal entry number. When you enter a transaction through journal entry, the QuickBook will automatically assign a journal entry number. Warn when posting transaction to retained earning. We will talk about retained earning when we have some transaction entered. Warn if transactions are 90 days past. So today is 18th February, and if I'm entering a transaction, say 1st October 2022, it will warn me. The reason this warning is important, because suppose if you are filing your HST on a quarterly basis, and you already filed your HST for 30th September 2022, and all of a sudden your employer comes or your client comes and say, oh, I forgot this air ticket I booked in August 2022. Can you please enter that? So you go and enter that, and you see that, okay, date is 25th August 2022. Then at that time, QuickBook will warn you that you are posting in past period. And you need that warning because if you are posting in that period, that HST has already been filed. You have already claimed whatever input tax credit was in that period. So if you post in that period, you will not be able to claim the input tax credit. Also, that applies when you have already filed your income tax return. So if you post in a wrong period, you may not be able to deduct your expenses from the income. So accounting is most important. Then there are other tabs, bills. You can set default by default in how many days bills are due. Normally it is 30 days, so I will change it 30 days. Calendar, you made changes to bill preferences. Do you wish to save changes? Yes. Calendar, I don't know. I mean, I might have looked at it 5-6 years ago. It's not very useful for me. Checking, open with write check, open the pay bills. Okay, so I don't remember this one also, but it looks to me when you have several bank account. So usually when you write check, you can assign a default bank account because it's asking that when you write check, which account you want to use. You can look into your desktop view, how you want to look at my preferences, company preferences, finance charges. If your customers are paying late after the due date, the QuickBook can automatically apply a charge. Company preferences, grace period, how much interest rate you want to charge. You can also set up a minimum amount that I don't want to charge less than $5. Or even if you're overdue by 1 day, you have to pay $10, or the interest calculated for the delayed period, whichever is more. General, You want to see decimal minutes in time in minutes format or in decimal format, 1 to 100 or 1 to 60. Integrated application, QuickBooks Desktop and online both have nowadays come up with various kind of software. For example, they have come up with a receipt bank. So you have a small receipt from Canadian Tire, from Walmart. You can scan those receipt, and QuickBook will automatically pull the data into your system. Item inventory, not very much we are going to touch, but we will try to create one inventory item at least. Jobs estimates, this is particularly important for contractors when they are providing the estimate. So they will calculate the material cost and then the labor cost. Multiple currency. So here I'm going to set up multiple currency. Yes, I use more than one currency. Warning sign comes. It tells me that once I select the multiple currency, I cannot switch back to single currency. Once you turn on multiple currency, you cannot turn off. If you haven't back up, you won't be able to use cash flow tab, blah, blah, blah. Yes. Payments, save it. Receive payment, automatically apply payment. So when you created your customer invoice, then the customer is going to pay. So you can check here, and that QuickBooks will automatically populate all the invoices. Those are due or overdue, and you select the payment is to be applied to which invoice. Payroll, QuickBooks Desktop payroll features. YSTU, voucher printing preferences. So this is basically when you print a paycheck for your employee. So the and if you have a check stationery, so normally the check stationery has 3 tabs. I mean, they can be tiered into 3 parts. So on the top, it will be the check, and on the check, name of the employee name of the pay will come, date, amount, signature, bank detail, bank name. On the second part and third part, it will print you the payment details, how many hours you work, or what is the salary, CPP deduction, EI deduction, income tax deducted for the month, for the period, and year to date. Reminders, you can set reminders in QuickBook. And then when you open the company, all the reminders will come like a tab. Reports and graphs. I never used that. Sales and customers. Sales forms, usual shipping form you can create. Intuit packing slip you can choose. Enable price levels. You can create a price list for your product or services. So suppose if you have a price list, one is for wholesaler, one is for retailer. So you can input that, and when you are invoicing your customer, you know this is a wholesale customer. Or even when you are creating a customer, I think you can attach that price list to that customer. Sales tax, if you are registered for GST, HST, assign sales tax code by default H. Otherwise, if you are in those provinces where sales tax GST, HST is not harmonized, then you have to charge GST separately, PST separately. Zero rated, standard sales tax. I don't know what is standard sales tax, but normally I use HST. Search, very important, particularly if you are doing the bookkeeping first time for your employer, and you have just now been hired, or you are working on a new client and doing the bookkeeping. So many a times you will come across certain payments which is repeated in nature, or you will see a bank text which is repeated in nature. So you can search by amount, search by text, and see how it was dealt with in the past. Send forms, you can create a template, and you can also create that I want to copy this to my salesperson or my director or my finance manager. Service connection. Automatically connect without asking for a password. How do you want to handle your connection to QuickBooks services? So when you buy QuickBooks, you have two options. You can buy only QuickBooks, or you can buy QuickBooks with payroll. There is extra charge for payroll, and they also charge for per employee per month. So when you have payroll, it is very important that your QuickBooks should be connected to the QuickBooks server, even though it is not online. But from time to time, when there is an update, QuickBook will ask you to update it. Or even that there is changes in the software, or they make some improvement, they will ask you to update it. And payroll taxes changes. So your CPP, EI, income tax deduction may change. And when it change, QuickBook update their software, and that's where you require this connection to update your QuickBook Desktop. Spelling, QuickBook does spelling check. So you can select those options which apply to you. Time and expenses. You can track time. So suppose if my staff is working on bookkeeping for a client, so I can ask him to track the time, which QuickBook can automatically do, that how much time he or she has spent on this client in doing the bookkeeping, because my billing to my client will be based on the number of hours worked. So that's it for the setting a company in the QuickBook. Is doing something, I guess. It's asking me to set up the password. So I did that. Okay. AC234 ABC1. So we have created a company, and we have chosen some options which may apply to us. And in that case, two options are very, very important. Is that company information, edit preferences. Company information, edit preferences. Now we are going to concentrate on vendor, customer, employee, chart of account, and payroll. So first thing first, we need to look into our chart of account. How does it look? So as I told you, when we were creating the company, the QuickBook was asking which industry it is. So based on the nature of industry, QuickBook has already created a chart of account for us. And even if we need to add an account or change an account, we can do that. So let's change this account. No, it went into, so this one, edit account. So it was bank service charges. I just made it bank charges. Now, if you want to analyze further your bank charges, then you can create bank charges as a main group and then create subledger, which will be like bank wire charges, bank monthly charges, bank transaction charges. Those could be your GL, and those GL will be grouped under bank charges. You can select default code, whether HST is applicable or not applicable. So in that case, when we are posting bank charges, QuickBook automatically select the option that all the financial services are exempt from GST, HST. And if you feel that there is a general ledger or an account in your chart of account which you are not using and you don't want to see them, so you can make them account is inactive. Let me see if we can create an account as shareholder loan. No, there is no. So I'm going to create an account here. New. And this is equity because I'm creating a shareholder loan account. Continue. Account name. Shareholder loan. You can also apply tax line mapping. And this tax line mapping is for your corporate income tax return. We will touch that corporate tax return and you will see these kind of codes are there. And when your bookkeeping is done in the QuickBooks, you have an option where you can export from QuickBooks to the tax software. So we created a new account, shareholder loan.
So sir, that account is despite of what account we have created in the initial step?
First, QuickBooks has already created
One account.
Many account. You can see here all these accounts.
So I have the freedom to create as many as I can. I want.
Yes. Yes.
Even for single, like if it is written land, so under land also I can create multiple accounts. Like whatever the options are there, you say shareholder loan or land, so I can create multiple accounts or one account.
You can create multiple account means what? Subledger or ledger?
Subledger.
Subledger you can create always. So for example, I'm creating here new expenses.
Yeah. Now I can
Continue.
Yeah, we can create multiple.
Travel. And travel, I'm not putting under travel is the main account, is the GL. Save. And then I'm creating new expenses. Continue. And this is gas expenses. And this is sub account of travel expenses. Save, new, expenses, continue, and then vehicle repair. And this is also sub account of travel. So when you see that travel and sub account, it appears like this. So you have the total travel expenses, because when you are when we are preparing your income tax return, corporate tax return, then you need to input the total travel expenses. However, if you are using your vehicle and you are self-employed, then you have to provide individual information: gas expenses, vehicle repair and maintenance, vehicle insurance. So in that case, you might want to create subcategory. Okay, so now we are going to get some goods, because once we have the goods, then only we can sell. So enter bill. So I'm going to buy inventory material. If I'm a if it is a service organization, then you don't need to create the bill, because you are not buying anything. So these three are already by default. I'm going to create a new vendor. Vendor name, ABC Inc. Copy paste. We can put it who is this person, CEO or whatever, director. Main phone number, work phone number, mobile number, fax number, email, copy second email, website, other. We can put set up the payment setting, payment terms, 1%, 10 net 30 days. When you set up your vendors like this, then you can run a accounts payable aging report. And in the aging report, based on the terms, it will populate which invoices are due, which invoices are overdue, which invoices are overdue by 30 days, which invoices are overdue by 90 days, like that. Sales tax, you can see that when you purchase material for this vendor, are they taxable or exempt? So suppose if you are a convenience store, if you're buying milk from your vendor, so that vendor will be exempt because milk is exempt. But if you're buying pops from another vendor, that vendor charges HST. So you have to select that this vendor has HST. And for your record, you can record here the vendor HST number. Usually, all the vendors who are charging HST, they are supposed to provide their HST number on the bill. But sometimes it may happen that he forgot, or he's new to the business, he doesn't know, and he didn't provide you the HST number. So in that case, you ask the HST number and you record it here. Because when you are claiming ITC, and if CRA audits you, then CRA will ask you the vendor business number. account setting. So you can choose a default account where you want to enter it. So we don't have a material purchase account, so I'm going to add that. I'm looking for cost of goods sold, because purchase, inventory purchase, or goods purchase, those are categorized under or become a sub-ledger under cost of goods sold. Continue. Every time it goes to second screen. So we created the vendor, ABC Inc. We set up that the vendor charge GST, HST. We set up his default payment terms, which is appearing here, and that means still sometime normally a vendor asks you that you pay in 30 days, but on a particular transaction he said, okay, you can pay this in 45 days. So you can change here based on the particular transaction, or you can leave it at the default. So QuickBook automatically calculates the default date. So up to this date, you are eligible for 1% discount. So this one is the discount date, because 1% 10 days, net 30. What does it mean? That if you pay by 10 days, the vendor will give you 1% discount. If you do not pay by 10 days, you are paying, if you are paying after 10 days, but within 30 days, then you have to pay the full amount. There is no discount. And there may be chances that if you are paying after 30 days, he will charge you interest or financing charges. So in the memo, you generally write the vendor invoice number, HST. We selected default by default that it is this vendor charges HST. So I don't have to open the drop down box and select it. It is automatically there. And we buy from $760. So when we put here $760, it automatically added the HST here. And you see the HST amount here. And this purchase is in Canadian dollar. If you want to print a bill here, if you have same invoice again and again, you can create a copy here. If you enter it by mistake, then you can delete it, or you can void it. When you void it, the transaction remains in the system, but amount becomes 0. When you delete it, that means it is completely deleted. So the reason you void it, so suppose if you have multiple item here, you purchase suit, you purchase tablecloths, you purchase curtains, you purchase whatnot, socks. So you have several line item there, and then by you thought that okay, this invoice is a mistake, and supplier is going to give me another invoice. So you may want to, instead of deleting it, you may want to void it, because by chance if you come to know, no, this invoice was correct, so you can pull back and you just need to feed the amount. You don't need to do the whole thing. Sometimes you may have an invoice where there are 20, 30 line items. So in that case, it's better to void it. I normally never delete anything unless I'm 100% sure. I like to void it. Save and close. So we posted one vendor invoice, and then we want to check that. Is it there or not? So go to report. So we posted a vendor invoice. So that means it went into cost of goods sold, profit and loss standard. So we have it here, $760. Now this $760 we have not paid. So that means it should also appear on the accounts payable. And accounts payable will appear on the balance sheet. So let's go to the balance sheet, report, company financial, balance sheet standard. We created the bank account with $1,001. Accounts payable $858 because 760 is the cost of goods sold plus GST HST. You see the GST HST payable is coming negative because we have purchased and paid GST. This is my ITC. When we create customer invoice, at that time we will have HST payable, and this GL will always show me GST on sales minus GST on expenses. When I was creating the CIBC checking account, I put $1,001, and as you know, the bookkeeping is based on double entry system. So QuickBook automatically understand that this is from opening balance equity. That means this is shareholder money. Opening balance equity. If you want to change it, we can make a journal entry, debit this and credit shareholder loan. Now we have money in the account, so let's pay. Suppose the bill is due and the supplier is calling me for the payment, pay bill. Okay. So here is that. So all the bills of your supplier will appear here. And suppose if you have 100 supplier and each supplier had 2 bill, 3 bill, 4 bills, so there will be 400, 500 bills here. So you can go and select which supplier you want to see. So I want to see only ABC, so it will show only ABC. And you want to sort them by due date, amount due, reference number, discount date, because you want to pay those where you can get discount. So you can sort that, and then suppose if you want to pay this one, select this. So this invoice is selected for payment. Here is some credit information. If supplier gives you 1% discount, you can choose here and post here. Suggested discount 7.60 because we have chosen, we have given the terms for this supplier is 1% 10 days, and we are paying within 10 days. So QuickBook is automatically calculating. Payment date, you can pay it today or you can pay it tomorrow. So you can create a check for future date. You can create a check for, I guess, past date. Which method you are paying. So check. No, I'm paying by Visa. I'm paying by American Express. You can choose there. Which account it is. So for the time being, we have just created only one bank account. We don't have Visa account or other account. So it will show only one account. Assign check number. Here it was to be printed. When you have a pre-printed stationery where the check numbers are already there. If the check numbers are not there on your pre-printed stationery on the check, then you can put it to be printed. Pay bill. payment summary. So we have already paid it. You can print check now or print them later from the print form. What does it mean? Means right away you can go and print this check. But usually in a commercial organization, what happens that they have that, okay, today is Friday, let's see what are the bills are due to be paid. So they will select, okay, vendor A, vendor B, vendor D, vendor F. He selected all those that, okay, these are the vendor, the checks to be printed. So you can post the payments here and you can tell print later because you want to print all of them together. Normally, you do not keep a separate printer for your check printing. You use your regular printer. Unless you have a separate printer only for check, then you can feed the check leaves into your printer and then print. But if so, that is another job you have to do, that go and grab those check stationery and put into the printer feed. So that's the reason you want to accumulate all the checks to be printed. And once you are ready, your printer is set, you have put feeded the stationery, then you can say print. So I'm going to print it now. So the first check number I can change here, 201 CIBC. And if you have more than one check to print, they all will be here. Okay. So I'm printing the check in PDF. Sample check. So this is the check portion. It will print on the check. Payable to ABC Inc., John Smith, Sam John. Memo, vendor invoice number this. So vendor knows that this check is for this invoice. Date, amount. So even for vendor, you are going to give them 3 sections. So normally what vendor will do, he will tier this portion and deposit into the bank. This he will file in his record or send it to his accounts department that this is the payment detail. This you can tear off and keep it in your record that I have the proof of payment made. And then if your check printed correctly, click OK. So that means if your check is not printed correctly, then you can reprint that. Okay, so we covered the vendor section. Now we are going to cover the accounts payable section we covered. Now we are going to cover the account receivable section. So as I told you earlier that every software, even in this QuickBooks Desktop or even QuickBooks Online or any software, they have many features. Everywhere you have to go and see, but you are not going to use that on a regular basis. Even if you learn it today, tomorrow you will forget. Even a bookkeeper who is working in an organization on QuickBooks, say 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, he's not going to use many of the functions on a regular basis. On a regular basis, what you are going to use is accounts payable, account receivable, bank reconciliation, sometime creating a chart of account. Even that is not very important. Write check, print check. So write check is when when you're creating a check and paying your supplier. Print check, which we talked about, that you accumulate uh, creating checks, and then when you are ready, you feed your printer with the stationery and you print check. And another section is important is the payroll processing. That's it. So these are the major, if you mastered in that, that is really important. And you can say that you know QuickBooks almost 90%. Then rest of the things is based on need based. When you need it, you can have a quick review what it is, transfer fund, make deposit, what is employee center, payroll. You can look into that. But you are not going to use it on a regular basis. So today, on the account receivable section, I'm going to touch only the invoice template, because if you're working, or if you're going to work in a commercial organization, or even if you're working as a freelancer and you have a new client who has started a new business and he want to set up his customer invoice, so this is very important. Or even if you become a freelancer and you want to invoice to your client, then you need to create a customer template. So estimate, create invoice. Okay, so this is a default invoice template already created by the QuickBooks. Now we are going to create our template, which we want to send to the customer. So invoice. Okay, so where is that template? Edit. Formatting, sorry, yeah. So you go to formatting, manage template. So you don't want to change in this template because this is the QuickBooks default template. So you copy this template and give it your name. Invoice. And then you can, okay. So this is the RKB invoice template. Now we are going to use logo. So your logo will come. You want to add column, you can add column. Color scheme, what color you want to show? Green, blue. Change font for company name. You want to change for font, and what are the information you want to appear. So here on the invoice, company name is not appearing. So we are going to select the company name, and then the company name will appear here. company name. So it is saying that it is going to overlap. I said, okay. So we could do it in layout designer. Company address. Okay. What else? Email address. So email address is appearing here. So it's overlapping. So I'm going to go to layout designer. And I think I can pull it here. Or I can put it here. Okay. So the email address is going here. So maybe next week, by the end of next week, you get 30 days free trial QuickBook Desktop. So once we have already two, three class covered, then you know more than enough, and you can use that 30-day trial. And majorly, you should practice if you're not familiar with QuickBooks or you want to learn. Then you should majorly practice in designing, like you design around 5-6 invoice template, RKB invoice 1, RKB invoice 2, or RKB invoice 3. Play with this. So do 5-6, then do 5 or 10 material purchase, accounts payable entry, do 10-15 account receivable, creating sales invoice, do payroll. Payroll, I think they will not allow you in the sample, but I don't know. Do some journal entry, and then I will give you a small income and expense which you can enter and see the report in your QuickBook. So this one is done. I've created my template. So RKB invoice, training invoice, you can go back to you can select whatever you want to, Intuit professional invoice, Intuit service invoice, Intuit product invoice. But we have created our own template. So let's use that. Customer. So we will cover this again on the next session. But for the time being, I'm just going to add new. We will go through this in the next class. Okay. One person net 10 days. Item we have not created. Add new. We are going to do this again in our next class. Okay, so right now I'm leaving it as service. Item name. Is it a sub item? No. This service is used assemble part when you are in manufacturing environment. Rate $200. Which account to post? Sales. You can add custom field. Oh, we put service. So $200, 13% HST. So total become $226. Customer, you can add your message here, add new, or you can use a default message. It has been pleasure working with you. memo, tenth Feb. Okay, or I can put whatever the company I've created in corp. 7 close. This is the spelling check. So you go to your customer, you see the invoice here. Now you can add an email address. Okay. And you can email it. Oh, okay. So no, I think we have to set up the email to send the invoice. No, here it is. QuickBook automatically emails the invoice to. And you can see the invoice. We put it in blue color. We put the email address here, but we haven't set the company email address. I guess that's why it is not appearing. Company name, address, logo. Oh, I brought the box only here. I needed to drag this also on top. GST HST number, because I'm charging GST HST. HST amount is showing separately. To make sure that we have posted it correctly, we go to report, company financial, profit and loss account, and we see the it is posted. $200 sales. And if there is a $200 sales plus $26 HST, so total $226, and the customer has not yet paid me. So that means this should appear on my account receivable. So let's go to look at balance sheet. So, okay, so period we have to select. I don't know which date I posted the invoice. Here is my $226 accounts receivable. You can go to profit and loss account from here as well, window. So all the open windows are here. So let's switch to profit and loss account. Let's switch to balance sheet. Here it is. So that's it. I think I sent you a I sent you a link for wave accounting. So this is a free online accounting software. So you can create your account here. And if you do something, or if you want me to check something, then you can add me as your accountant. So here you can do accounting. You can create a chart of account. they are giving option for trial payroll. You can do the trial payroll, sales and payment, purchases. So whatever we have done today, you can create an account and do 1 or 2 transactions for practice if you want. You can try creating a sample invoice there as well and creating a chart of account. Sorry, templates, invoice template. So that's it for today. Any question?
Hi. So, hello.
Yes, yes. Speak loud,
Yeah.
little louder.
Yeah. So, do companies use QuickBooks or Wave accounting more? I mean, if we will practice on Wave accounting, will it help in QuickBooks too?
Uh, okay. First question is do company using QuickBooks? So yes, in North America, QuickBook is the #1. So everywhere you go, you will see QuickBooks. But what you need to focus is how to create an invoice, how to create a template, how to post a payment, how to post a receive payment, how to make journal entry, how to see reports. These are the functions are going to be in every software,
Okay.
right? You only need to find out where is the option or where is the button to create a new invoice template, because every software made for bookkeeping must have the ability to create an invoice, must have ability to post a supplier bill, supplier payment. So those are quite common. Only the thing you will see the color is different. Now here, there, if you look at Wave accounting, their layout is different. QuickBook has everything on the top, but even if you go on QuickBooks Online, they have at the left-hand navigation tab. They have bills.
So, whether we,
QuickBook Desktop also have bills.
yeah.
Here they
Okay.
have written enter bills. They are bills, but the functionality remains the same.
Okay. And you said about the certification of QuickBooks. So, which one will be appropriate for that? Because there were so many certifications.
Uh,
Therefore,
QuickBook QuickBook is the leader in the market, so I would recommend get the QuickBook Pro Advisor, Advanced Pro Advisor for both desktop and mm, online. And then second leading software nowadays I see Zero, so get that also.
yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any other question? No, so I'm stopping the recording.